delicious. Oh, hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. Hope you're doing great. There is a big roadblock for a lot of Americans right now when they're trying to refinance or get a home. And I want to talk about that. I want to put out a bunch of false narratives and just destroy them in front of you. But the fact is, a lot of us want to own a home, right? I mean, just honestly, type 1 if you already own a home, but like, just say yes if you want to own a home, if you don't own a home. And there's between owning a home, you need to be able to buy it, so you need the money for it. And if you own a home right now, there's a flurry of refinancing because depending on when you bought your home, rates have gone down. Now, this is a 3-month view of the 10-year bond. Now, the 10-year bond is very important because the 10-year bond is, the interest rate is based, that's what mortgages are based off of, right? Because the average person keeps a mortgage or their home between 7 and 10 years. The banks go, all right, if we base the mortgage rates roughly off of where the 10-year is, then we know. You just add the amount of profit they want to make to the 10-year, and that's it. I know it's very simple, but that's the truth. But the fact of the matter is, the roadblock that's blocking a lot of Americans is that the mortgage companies just says you don't qualify. Because right now, what's actually happening is we're actually in a real estate crash. Now, and I'm going to show you a couple things that'll be pretty cool. So that's a 3-month chart, right? Well, everyone wants to talk about this right here. Let me get rid of that line. Look, the 10-year bond was up here like 3 weeks ago, and now it's down here. So everybody's refinancing. They're freaking out. They're getting excited, right? There's this flurry of refinancing. But if you look back in 6 months, you're like, holy cow, this is so much higher right now than what it was, right? But most people can't look back 5, 6 months, a year, a couple years. They don't see what's actually happened. That's actually a real estate crash. Fact is, banks are having a hard time getting people to loan money because they themselves, the bank, have tightened their rules. They've tightened up on they're not loosely giving out money to anyone anywhere, right? Because things are bad. All right. So what happens is the roadblock is that you get told, no, you can't refinance, or no, you cannot get a mortgage. Or sadly, what a lot of people do is they go get that mortgage and the bank says, hey, you're going to pay 1 or 2 points on that loan. A point is disastrous. I don't think anyone should be paying for a point. Just a point is 1% of the mortgage amount. So let's say it's a $500,000 mortgage, 1 point, which would be due at closing. But a lot of times banks will wrap it up in the loan. There's ways they can do that. It's an extra $5,000, right? 1% of the loan. I don't think anyone should be paying this. So here, real quick, I'm going to throw out a stupid deal, a blowout sale on the Mortgage Master and the Mortgage Master Pro, I think it's called. 2 different courses that I can safely say that if you watch both courses, you will not only save 10 times the amount of the course in just your first purchase, but you'll actually save tens of thousands of dollars over the life of the mortgage that you choose because of all the tips and tricks I give you there. And it also, the second course is all for finance properties, cash flow properties or rentals. Okay, so the big story of the day is that, here, let me find it real quick. We're doing this live. You just type in mortgage, right? RTG, which stands for death contract. If you guys know that, it's a big deal. And I want you to use mortgages to buy a home, buy cash flowing properties, but then pay off your personal mortgage as fast as you can. There is something spiritual about it. I know this. I've told the story before. It is incredible. I learned it from my dad way too late in life. I wish I would have heeded his advice earlier because it freed up my mind for so many other things. If anyone's experienced that spiritual awakening of when you pay off your mortgage, do me a favor and type I have, because people need to see that it's not just the crazy ninja talking about this. But then what I want you to know is that you want to use debt to finance rental properties inside of an LLC, right? You do it right. Nobody teaches this really on the internet. It's sad, but this is how it's supposed to be done. You want to use other people's money to buy rental properties, to cash flow, and then bring that cash flow into your home and live a great life. Because then what you're doing is you're employing so many people in that money chain. Instead of a food chain, we're going to call it a money chain, right? So it says right here, let's see here. Lowest mortgage rates in months create a surge in applications, right? It says here, and this is what's really scary. The FHA rate dipped to 6.42%, and refinance activity saw its fastest pace since October of 2024. So that's only a few months ago, right? Mortgage applications increased 20% from 1 week earlier on a seasonally adjusted basis as buyers pounced on lower rates, according to data from the Mortgage Bankers Association. On an unadjusted basis, applications increased 22% compared with the previous week. The refinance index increased 37% from the previous week and was 83% higher than the same week 1 year ago. Well, see, a lot of people would say, well, 6.4%, or a lot of people, do me a favor real quick. Everybody type the percentage rate your mortgage is at. And this isn't to embarrass anyone, but there are going to be a lot of people that probably put lower rates, right? 4.5%, 5.5%. Some people are going to put like 2.5%. That's going to tell you about how long they've been into that mortgage, right? Doug's got 2.75. Yeah, 2.6. We've got some at 6%. Okay, 7.5. Vito, I want to give you a little advice. Some really cool advice. So we're seeing a lot of low rates. So that tells me that a lot of you, the majority of you, have had your mortgages for a long time and you're not going to want to let go of them. First off, advice for you, I want to tell you, the difference between front-loaded amortized mortgage interest is very scary, okay? It may seem like you're winning because the percentage is low compared to credit card interest and things like that, but the amount you're paying because it's front-loaded is actually quite a lot. So I always tell people, like, and it sounds crazy, but I know a lot of people that have enough money to pay off their home and they won't because they've got, let's say, a 2.5 or 3% mortgage. And so what I do is I say, well, where's all your money? Well, I've got it in Edward Jones, or I've got it in TD Ameritrade and stuff. And I said, okay, on a monthly basis, how much is that bringing you in? And they'll give me the number, right? A percentage. I say, go get me your mortgage certificate, or sorry, your bill, right? Your mortgage bill. And I want you to read off how much you're paying this month in interest. And they'll read it off, and 9 times out of 10, their investments are not bringing them in anywhere near that amount, to where if they were to just take that money and pay it off, they would be saving so much more per month. Okay, so that's one thing I want to talk to all the people that have low interest rates. If you're in that situation, go look at that. The second thing I want to talk about is for people that have high interest rates right now, mortgage rates. Refinancing would be good, but what I want you to do is, first off, never accept in this market a point or more. Okay, I don't want you paying any extra money. If the bank says, sorry, you're not in the position to negotiate because your credit score is low, go fix your credit score. Okay, I don't have the link with me, but I mean, I've sold courses and helped tens of thousands of people to fix your credit score in 90 days, right? That 90 days of fixing your credit score will just blow your mind how much you'll save. But most people don't calculate that. They don't realize how much they'd save with an 800 plus credit score. And yes, it's totally possible. Okay, very fast actually. I gotta do a sale for that course. But anyway, sorry. But who cares? You learn all this stuff on the internet. My point being is this: the only reason you buy a course from me, honestly, is to save time and money. That's it, because time is money. But when you go to refinance, all of your refinance costs, because there are certain fixed costs that you can't get away from, right? Either escrow fees or attorney's fees, depending on what state you're in, and then notary fees and signing fees, all that stuff. But the point is, one thing you say, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to wait a couple of months rather than pay $5,000, $6,000, even sometimes $12,000 or $18,000 in points. That's just, and then they go, don't worry, we'll just wrap it up in a loan. Let's wrap it up. And most people, just like car payments, they go, well, I don't care how much the car costs. I care about how much the payment is. That's why you're not wealthy. And I'm not saying that to insult you. I'm saying it to wake you up. Okay. This is one of those wake up moments. All of your, in my opinion, all of your refinance costs should be paid back, and you're saving money because your payment is lower within 6, maximum 12 months, maximum. Okay. I mean, I don't do something unless I can get all my refinance costs back in 6 months or less. All right. And that's a really good launch pad for making a decision or setting a trigger point, which we call them trigger points in the fire service. But right now you got this flood of people going in because all they're thinking about is, I can save $250 a month. That's like a car payment. No, not anymore. But okay, I'm aging myself. Type 3 if you agree. I just aged myself. But my point being is that all they look is the $300 or $250 a month. They don't realize, the total refinance cost for that loan is $10,000. That's absolutely insane. All right. So I want you guys thinking, because this is an incredible time to be alive, because we've already seen the dam break and the water's cascading over the top and the cracks getting worse and worse in real estate. Florida's crashing. Texas is crashing. Man, I'll tell you what, Lake Tahoe, I'm looking at properties up in Lake Tahoe right now that are 30% down from the peak of where they were selling a year and a half ago. Okay. And it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get better. All right. So when they talk about here, look, what are some of these stupid headlines? Mortgage rates continue their sinking streak. That's pretty sweet. Mortgage rates fall to 2025 low as Trump celebrates the big, beautiful drop. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful drop. It's going to be the most magnificent drop ever. I'm going to say it's going to be amazing. But people don't realize that as the rates are dropping, banks are still going, the market's still crashing. Home builders can't sell their homes. Matter of fact, home builders are giving all kinds of incentives. So that means things are good. So I want you to think about this when you're going to refinance. If you want this mortgage bundle, I will tell you this. This is my promise to you. I promise. If you listen to everything in the 2 courses, you will know more than 99% of the real estate agents out there when it comes to mortgages. I completely trust me. You're going to have to trust me in this one. But if you do all these steps and prepare, within 90 days to maximum 6 months from now, you will save 10 times the cost of that course. That's my promise to you. If you listen to all this stuff, this is like how to prepare, how to visualize, how to find the right mortgage brokers, all this stuff. This is all the stuff I did to buy all those homes when I was young. And those rules still hold true today. So if you want the time hack, you want the money hack, the link's down below. I hope you got something out of this. But let me ask you this. This is something else that's important. Yeah. Type I agree or I disagree when I say this statement. It is important to own a home, whether you are single or especially when you have a family, because when you own a home and it's wrapped into a 30-year mortgage, you have stability, and stability builds wealth. Now, I talk about being able to pivot, and wealthy people can pivot really fast, right? I still stand by that. But when you're at the basics of wanting to be wealthy, wanting to have independence financially to where you could just go give the bird to your, I'm not saying give the bird, I mean like a parakeet, hand the parakeet to your boss and say, I don't need to work here anymore. You need wealth to do that, right? You need more money. And so having stability for your family is very important. There's nothing wrong with moving every couple of years because you get an itch. You're like, I want to go fix something in our house. Nothing wrong with that. It's actually really great. But when you have stability, things go better for you and you're able to think differently. You're able to open your mind to opportunities because your mind's not full of the monthly minutia of having to pay this bill or that bill or the landlord. I know people personally that have been freaking out because the landlord has been threatening them to raise the rates. That's not a way to live, right? And home ownership, I believe, is the key to wealth. And people like Grant Cardone that are sucking their investors dry, flying a jet that's not his. He's using everybody else's money and all this stuff, and he's bragging about the houses he has that he rents and all this crap. It's one lawsuit away from losing everything, right? And so I think it's very important that people have home ownership. Don't listen to tools like Grant Cardone. And I say it's a tool because he can't relate to you. He can't. The guy's, what, is he a billionaire? I don't know if he is or not. But the point being is that, when he's sitting there going, you want a 10X, just give me your money and I'll 10X it. Well, that's not really, it's like a 4% return, but that's not the way to live. That's not the way you get wealthy. Okay. You get wealthy with stability inside of your own personal life. You have all your debt paid off. You work, you strive to achieve that. And once you get out of debt, you don't tend to go back into debt. People like, guys, type yes or no. It's hard to get out of debt. And once you get out of debt, you're like, I don't want to live like that anymore. Right. And then what you do is you build a company on the side like Grant Cardone, right? Just don't insult people that are trying to buy a house. That's all I say. And you sit there and you go, hey, I want to use other people's money to grow and build things and put people to work and be successful. That's what all of us should be wanting to achieve. But very few people will take that mantle and run with it, right? That's why there'll always be people working in factories. There'll always be people doing 9 to 5s, and that's it, because they're happy. And really, when it comes down to it, they're happy because they're lazy. And that's not an insult. It's because I know people that say, look, I don't want to own a business. I don't care to be rich. I just want to be left alone. I just want to go to work, and I want to go home, and I want to play softball, or I want to just, hang out with my buddies, and I don't want to think about anything. I don't, it's too much stress. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're a productive person in society, and you're not taking and you're giving, because a lot of people, their giving comes from work, right? They go and they're helping a company be successful. And as long as they're not whining that the boss makes more than them, well, then that's great. That's a very small segment of this population, though. Hey, look, I hope you got something out of this. Mortgages right now, I think people should be refinancing if they're in higher rates, as long as they're not paying any points and they're paying all of their refinance costs get paid back within between 6 months to 1 year at the most, because in this market, rates are going to start falling as things get worse. I know it sounds crazy. People still believe that Trump's going to fix everything. He can't. I don't think people get it. There are some things that are in motion, and even Trump says, hey, we're going to have some hard times. And those hard times can bring much lower rates. So if you want to refinance right now, don't refinance and get yourself spend so much money that you're like, oh crap, I'm not even gonna be able to pay myself back, and now rates are lower. Okay, so keep it at a 6-month horizon. All right, with that being said, and one last question. I'll bet you a lot of people have this. Type 10, if you're wondering, is now a good time to buy a house? I just want to see it. Type 10 real quick. I'm gonna answer this question. I'm just super pumped. And I got a latte. Nobody wants to know if Jeff wants to know. Ed wants to know. All right, cool. I feel like I'm in romper room. I see Jeff. I see Eric. I see Bill. You guys remember that? All right. First off, it's always a good time to buy a house. Always, 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 if you plan on being there for a long time, right? Because what if things go wrong? If you have long-term employment, and I know it sounds crazy, it will make you happy. If it's sensible and it will make you happy. That's the third little piggy right there. I bought a house in 2005, knowing as I was liquidating not all my real estate. I'm not some fancy guru. I had 14 properties, but nobody I knew I had them. Oh, I'm liquidating them. I was scared, pissless. The market's crashing. Still bought a house. I told my wife we bought a house at the top, but you know what? It was on 1/3 of an acre. I had a palm tree business on the side, so I was staying busy as I was selling all the cash flowing real estate, getting rid of everything. I could produce income from it. I raised my children in it, and I said, this thing's gonna fall by half, and it fell by 45 or 46%. And I was so happy. You wanna know why? Because if I wanted to, I could still rent my house, because I got the mortgage was a fixed rate. I would still cash flow, because during a real estate crash, people are losing their homes. They got to go find rentals. So the rental market gets tighter. And I could just go buy another house that was nicer than mine for less. Or not let, you know what I mean, a little bit more than my house was worth, because it plummeted in value. But that's my point. More expensive homes fall on a greater percentage basis than the cheaper homes. So I tell people it's always a good time to buy a house if you can afford it. I know a master class, which I got my master group, guys, the meeting's tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific. Crap, don't quote me on that. The email's there. But my point being is that it's always a good time. It's just about perception. I know it sounds crazy too. Let's say you bought a home for 500 grand, you put down 10%, and the market starts to tank, and you could only sell it and walk away for what's owed on the mortgage. So you'd lose the 50 grand, right? You know what sounds crazy? There's nothing wrong with losing the 50 grand, putting that $50,000 down against your taxes as a loss, a capital loss. If you could go buy a cooler house that just crashed even more on a percentage basis, and you're only putting another 50 or 100 grand with it. People don't think like that, though. They're like, oh my gosh, I could buy this massive house that just fell. Yeah, I'm taking a loss over here, but look at what I just gained over there. Do you know how many people don't think about this kind of stuff? This is a big deal. All right. With that being said, I'm going to go. If you guys want the Mortgage Master courses, that's a rock solid deal. You'll save 10 times that in the next 6 months if you just watch the course. And the cool thing is you'll know it for life. You'll never forget it. All right. That being said, the Economic Ninja is out.